What is up, LA? My name is Geebs, and I'm here for another Tasty Tuesday. And I brought some guests along with me, introducing you guys to James Centeno and Brian Gutierrez. Hi, guys.
Hi, good to be here.
Hey, hey.
You guys are what is known as?
So we are the duo known as Pacific Palace. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
We're an artist based out of LA, pretty much.
Yeah.
So just a small intro of who they are. That is the culmination project of LA native vocalist and multi-instrumentalist James Centeno. In 2021, James recruited longtime friend and bassist Brian Gutierrez to assist in songwriting. They met in high school and were in various music projects together, correct?
Yes.
Together, they formed what is now today Pacific Palace.
Yes.
Brian's background is more in experimental music due to playing in a Ukrainian church, right, at a young age?
Yeah.
That was an interesting fact. When I saw that, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Brian usually explains his sound as heavily influenced by electronic music, early video game music from the 90s, grunge, funk, and jazz. He cites Jaco Pastorius and Koji Kondo, the Smiths, as to be some influences as well. Pacific Palace crafts itself as a dreamy spell on indie pop and rock, drawing heavy influences from artists of the 80s such as The Smiths and The Cure, as well as modern indie artists such as Hers, Tame Impala, Porches, Tennis, and Wild Nothing, to name a few. Bringing together classic synthesizers, acoustic electric guitar, drum machines, and melancholic vocals, Pacific Palace explores common themes such as love, heartbreak, throughout the DIY production. They've released several bodies of work through his Soundcloud, Spotify, and Apple Music, such as It's Alright, and you recently released Comfort and a Lie, correct?
Yeah, that was our latest single. We just released it, what was it, like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
September 30th, so about a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like three weeks ago.
Three weeks ago.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago.
So how are you guys today?
Good. How are you? How are you guys doing?
I'm good. LA, sunny, it's hot as usual.
It's kind of hot as usual, right?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's expected.
Like you wear the jacket sweater combo in the morning.
James is the cool guy.
No.
It's the one, yeah. It's a jacket combo in the morning, and then when it gets to midday, you just take it all off.
Yeah.
This guy keeps it on all day. I don't know how you do it.
I just commit. You just have to double down.
Yeah, he just commits to the outfit. It's always the outfit before anything.
Yeah.
It's the commitment.
Aesthetics before heat stroke.
Of course,
Yeah, dude,
of course.
Mad respect to the commitment.
Just drink a little bit of water here and there, stay hydrated.
You're good.
Rub an ice cube on your
You're
forehead,
good.
and you're
Yeah.
solid.
You're solid.
All right, so you guys could just tell us a little bit more of who is James Centeno, who is Brian Gutierrez, how was it growing up in LA, and how did that influence your music?
So, I was raised in Silver Lake, Echo Park area of Los Angeles. It was pretty awesome living there. It's definitely changed a lot since I've gone to visit here and there, but it still retains some of that nostalgia. It was pretty awesome. I come from a family of teachers, so that's kind of the sort of regime at home. It's sort of everyone's kind of a little strict and stuff.
The foundation.
But other than that, I think it had a positive effect on me because I was really able to kind of discipline myself in certain hobbies that I really enjoyed. One of them being music, and it's been really therapeutic and helpful. And so, when I write music, I hope that it can do the same for others. But other than that, yeah, I'm LA born and raised, love it. It's great out here.
Right?
Brian, you want to?
I kind of grew up on the other side of LA, near like the heart of downtown, Westlake MacArthur Park area.
Okay, yeah.
At the time growing up, pretty gang infested, pretty poor neighborhood. But it really did shape a lot about how I saw the world, about how I interpreted it, and how I essentially manifested that into music. I come from a very, hard upbringing, single mother, immigrant, 3 jobs. But, hearkening back to how that grew musically, we found a lot of solace from church. That was like a big thing for my family and their future growth to where we are now, which is a lot more stable and a lot more joyful.
Of course. I was interested on your Ukrainian church background. I want to know how that happens. Because for Latino in LA,
I want to hear more about that.
In the Latino in LA
in a Ukrainian church. That's crazy.
I need to just hear a little more of that.
I'm, disclaimer, I'm not religious now. But growing up, my sister's best friend, his name's Fernando. He had actually found this place randomly. It's still there, located on Venice and Oak. It's called World Outreach House of Prayer. And I remember when we were first invited, something that, really stuck out was that they were playing more contemporary rock music with the guise of Christianity. It was really cool. And I was very young. And I remember just being enthralled by how different this was. I always had a different interpretation of religion, especially Christian Catholicism, right? And I remember hearing one day this old Ukrainian guy. His name was Vitaly. And he was playing on a bass, and he was just doing these like little bass, like
little riffs,
right? Little slides,
like these little slides on the bass during a song. And I remember just thinking, like, well, what sound is that? What instrument is making that sound? I really liked it. And I remember after I went up to the guitar player, and I was like, what were you doing during that song? You were like, and he was like, oh no, that wasn't me. That was the bass player. And I didn't even know what a bass was. And it just.
And that's when you knew.
And I basically bugged him for like a year.
He found his calling.
Yeah, I bugged this old guy for like a whole year, maybe like from January till December. And then eventually, he gave me one lesson, and he gave me an old bass, one he had back in the 90s. And this bass, had no brand on it, but it looked like a Fender Precision, and the strings were so brown, like they're so rusted.
Yeah.
That they were basically like the worst thing to start on.
You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm really thankful for it now. It taught me a big lesson. He actually only gave me one lesson, and from that point on, going into my later years, my studying became more formal. But I really did just start off as like someone really who had kind of piqued interest in it initially, just from how it made me feel.
Yeah.
And then that grew into what it is today.
Of course, yeah.
That's
and I mean,
awesome,
I've heard what your work is in his music. So
and if you notice in some of and actually a lot of our songs, he does the slide effect. And you know what? I think that's a very distinct Brian Gutierrez quality when he plays bass, which is really cool. I think it adds something to the music, especially when you write. And I honestly enjoy the slide work on bass. It gives it more of a
little
large, like a little pulse,
yeah.
like a large, larger sound. It's awesome.
It makes me happy, so I can only imagine. I would hope that would make other people.
No, I mean it's heard. It's heard. I really enjoy the singles that have been being released. So you guys did tell me you guys met in high school. How did you guys meet? How did this come about?
So James's recollection of the story is
it's a little vague. When people ask me how did you meet, sometimes I'm just like I don't know, man. You take care of this because I don't remember.
The stars aligned, and I saw him in the hall. No,
you just knew.
He's like, I knew that guy I need to work with.
Actually, we were me and another old friend of ours. We were in a band, and we were looking for a vocalist.
Oh, that's right. I remember now.
And so what we did is that we actually had put up flyers at the school, like everywhere. We're just like, come Wednesday to the Music 101 room and audition for us, 3:30 p.m. We actually had a significant amount of people.
No, but the funny thing was, I think I remember you were looking for a female singer.
Oh, yeah. Specifically. I
specifically first.
Written, I typed up, I was like, female singer.
Female singer,
preferred.
Preferred.
And, James showed up. Surprisingly.
With the beard or without the beard?
No, this is prepubescent.
Okay, so
this is before the beard.
Yeah. And this is, I'd even say before puberty. I mean, you could have closed your eyes. And he had a very rich, high voice. It was really nice. And actually, I remember he was singing. I can't remember what he's saying. It might have been.
Was it
I don't want to say Bruno Mars.
It wasn't Bruno Mars. I don't think I would ever start with that as an audition song, to be honest.
But he sang something, a very pop. It was a pop song for
Oh,
sure.
wasn't it? I think it was a Tudor Cinema Club song, wasn't it?
I don't
I don't remember. It would have been one of those, but
it was definitely, you know,
Like a poppy vibe.
poppy kind of like easy to sing song. But I remember he was singing, and me and my friend, we kind of just like looked at each other like, wow, he has a great voice. Like, I mean, it's very, you know,
more pop oriented.
But it wasn't. It was.
They both looked at each other like, yeah, we can work with that guy.
Yeah,
we can mold him into the sort of indie rock that we need.
And in a lot of ways, that's actually how we started,
Yeah.
you know, really talking to James. There wasn't any formal meeting per se.
Yeah.
More just like he happened to show up when I was looking for a girl, and you know, something better came along. You could say.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Yeah.
No, but it's funny because going, you know, sort of bouncing off what he said, I kind of grew up my father played a lot of 80s music in the house. So I'm a huge 80s fan. I love the 80s. I love the music, the culture. It's so great.
We've been to Borners a couple times.
We've been Borners a couple times.
A
couple times. But yeah, it's just, and so just sort of listening to that music. And then also sort of growing up in the 2000s. You remember all the big pop stars in the 2000s, right? That was sort of what I listened to mostly. And it wasn't until... and also forgetting to mention, I did go to Colburn School of Performing Arts right there in downtown.
Okay.
So I took a couple of choir classes for many years there. So I guess that also had a sort of effect on my voice and sort of, you know, coming from classical training and then sort of kind of infusing pop into that. And it wasn't until high school when I did audition for their band that I sort of was introduced to what indie was. And from there, that was sort of the catalyst of like, you know, boom, you know, I love indie rock, indie pop, everything indie, you know, give it to me.
This is me now.
It's just me now.
I am indie.
I am indie, right? But yeah, it was super awesome to just kind of meet these guys in high school and have them introduce the genre of indie to me. And it was mind blowing. And I'll never forget the first two bands they ever showed me, or first three bands I should say that they ever showed me. Sort of kind of in the vague indie genre was Interpol.
Oh, of course.
It's
amazing.
Probably my
Good
favorite
job.
band.
Good
Interpol,
job.
right? Interpol.
Good job.
Block Party,
Okay.
the British band from the UK, right? And Tudor Cinema Club.
Okay.
So those were those great picks, man. That got me into the whole thing. Just I love those bands still to this day. And sometimes it's nice to kind of go back and revisit, you know, older bands from, you know, a different time period because you're just like, wow, you know what? Now I remember why they're that good. Yeah. You know?
There's those little sounds.
Yeah,
you know?
it's just like, and now I remember why they're that good. And so, yeah, it was really cool. And that's kind of how we met. And from then on, it's just, you know, year after year working on music in the band. We even did a couple of our own songs, just like our own kind of project on this, you know, away from the band.
It's a great success, actually.
Yeah. Actually, so surprisingly, yeah. I remember people...
We had a song we actually had written during like nutrition or something.
Yeah, we wrote a song I think in like it was a day or something.
Yeah,
and we played it. So there was like open mics at our high school, and it was in like the little amphitheater area that we had. And so Brian and I would sign up. But I remember one time we signed up and we're like, oh, let's do an original song. Let's do, you know. So we wrote a song like a day, and we performed it. And it was just acoustic, me on acoustic guitar, him on bass, and then him on vocals, and myself on vocals as well. And we played it, and I think it was at that moment after we finished that we kind of were just like, damn, you know, we can actually make a song. Like we can actually write some good music. I remember people singing it down the halls. I remember hearing people sing the chorus down the halls. We only sang it once, and people were already, you know, singing it down the halls. It was a great feeling. It was an awesome feeling. It really showed us like that we could be very good songwriting partners.
Did you guys ever release it? Or?
No, but that's funny because we're actually reworking that one for the debut album sometime next year.
We have a couple more years.
We have we have a couple more songs under the belt that we're trying to bring out of storage, out of the vault.
Yeah,
you know.
You started off with a lot of covers, right?
Of course. So we started off with a couple covers and stuff when we were younger, especially with our indie band. At the time, we were doing a lot of I think you were doing Interpol,
Yeah,
Tutor
we were
Summer
doing
Club.
Interpol,
Oh, yeah, a lot of those
yeah,
covers. Yeah,
Of course.
Block Party. We were doing those kind of covers.
Interpol's.
But yeah,
Interpol's
but
tight.
in that band we did write our own songs and stuff. It was mainly Brian and our other friend DJ Dixon, phenomenal guy, writing the music, and it was sort of me just kind of being brought to the project as the singer, and sort of learning what with the lyrics and whatever they want me to sing, and sort of kind of at least helping out with some of the vocal melodies. So they were mostly the songwriting duo, and it wasn't until I think that we did our side project that we were just like, oh, we could write music together too. We could be our own songwriting dynamic duo.
Nice.
And so that's where it took off from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So what? Next question is, what was the first instrument you guys learned? If you know more than one, and I mean, you guys answered what interested you in music, but if you guys want to just share with us what was like the first instrument you learned and how that process was for you guys.
Yeah. I'll let James start this one off.
You want me to start?
Mine's pretty funny and sad.
It's a comedic tragedy.
In a way, yeah.
But no, for me, voice, is I consider the voice to be an instrument. Voice for me was primarily the first thing I ever, took up. Again, my father enrolled me in classes at Coburn School of Performing Arts. And so since the age of 4 up until 14, I was taking choir classes, voice lessons at the Coburn School. And it wasn't, but even then, at that time, my grandmother had a grand piano at her, or not the grand piano, but the standing upright pianos at her house. Yeah. And my grandfather also had one. They both had them at their houses. Nice. And so, as a young kid, I'm over here just whenever we go visit, I would just kind of start, playing around, fiddling around on the keys, not knowing what I'm doing. But I remember just always trying to play a song that I've heard on the piano just by ear. And so I guess I kind of started my interest in sort of kind of seeing how chords work, how note reading, and the notes on the piano, stuff like that. And so that was voice was my first instrument. Then I started kind of transitioning to piano. It wasn't until I went to high school though, at Grand Arts High School in downtown, that I picked up guitar, and I actually learned it classically first before the commercial rock pop kind of way. And it's so funny because people always ask, I think, they've asked Brian and I many times, like, dude, why are your fingernails a little longer on your right hand than your left hand? And what a lot of people don't know is that when you're classically trained on guitar, that's the standard. You're supposed to have your nails slightly longer on your right hand, or your dominant hand, right? Compared to for me, my left hand. That's because, of course, you don't want your nails to get in the way when you're playing the fret, but you're using your nails on your right hand to pluck the strings, to do flamenco style, whatever it is you need to do to get that sound out. And it's so funny because even to this day, I still don't use a pick. I don't use a pick when I play guitar. It's all just
just in your nails
on my right hand, and it's a lot easier. I just feel like it's a lot easier for me to do arpeggio stuff, and sort of cool, so just like cool little riffs, I guess, that you could do that are sort of kind of classically based, but yeah, guitar I think was like the third instrument, and then I kind of started going back and forth to piano and synthesizer, and just kind of relearning that. And in high school they would teach us how to play piano and sort of classes like that. But yeah, so I guess those are my 3 main instruments that I picked up. Yeah. What about you, Brian?
Yeah. So hearkening back to my church days, I remember I got really into piano, especially like classical stuff. It just was beautiful. I remember falling in love with something written by Chopin before I even knew who Chopin was. It just came out in a movie, and I was like, damn, that's beautiful. And I was like, dude, that could be me. And when you're a kid, you have this, like, everyone hypes you up, but man, I remember I asked this other Ukrainian man at the church. I'm like, hey, his name was Igor. I was like, hey, can you show me how to play? Like, I've always wanted to play. Always in kid years. That means like 3 weeks ago, right? And and he's like, sure. And he shows me one day after church and everything. He sat down. I kid you not. I played for like 15, 20 minutes, and he's like, stop, never play again. Like, I kid you, with like this thick Ukrainian Russian man accent. And he's like, your hands aren't made for it. Like, you shouldn't be playing piano.
I mean, dude, look at your freaking, look how large his hands are, man. I mean,
but imagine hearing this, right? And you're like 10 years old.
Oh, as a kid.
You're 10 years old. I remember I cried so much that day. I was like, damn. But I mean, you know.
But hey, man, he did it for a reason.
In a way.
Did it for a reason.
In a way.
In retrospect, you know.
He set you on the path, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I play piano now. You know, despite the opinions of old Ukrainian men.
Yeah, fuck the haters.
But yeah, now I also am a multi-instrumentalist, and in the same way, just over time, different instruments kind of piqued my interest to great effect, and I think the one that really just stuck was bass. You know, a big influence of mine is Jaco Pastorius.
Phenomenal bassist.
Yeah, anyone, you know, any bass player, like, you know.
Yeah, that's top gun right there.
Like, they know.
That's bass god right there.
He's the legend. Obviously, there are other greats, but, you know, same thing in high school. I also did start on classical guitar. That was actually how I got introduced to guitar. And in a way, all those things influenced how I perceived bass playing, especially piano. I've always wanted to recreate what piano sounded like on bass. You know, the way harmonies kind of interject themselves into melody, and vice versa, and just like kind of reimagining or re-envisioning 4 strings and some pickups. And I think in my own kind of like solo projects, you know, that shows more. But it's just understanding like what works for the kind of music you're trying to do. And I think, you know, working with James on Pacific Palace, we kind of don't shoot down any creative ideas. If we bring something up, it's always like, okay, I don't like the idea, but let's try it. Let's see how it sounds.
Yeah, it's always not like trial and error, you know?
And yeah, it's definitely not for the benefit of us. It's more for the benefit of the music, right? If we start kind of just knocking down ideas, you know,
we sort of limit ourselves.
We
definitely limit ourselves
creativity,
if we do that. Yeah,
definitely. And I think my kind of knowledge in production and electronic music and how like certain styles of music are made, I think it really lends to just trying something, kind of like really feeling out how that works thematically, and then deciding whether or not if that's what we want. Yeah, because there's no wrong choice. It's just everyone you're having fun, just trying to create a body of work, and that's what it really is.
And I think you know, when we songwrite, it's sort of what feels right to us, right? Yeah. There's people, there's musicians, there's artists, there's bands that are sort of always like, you know, I don't know. I feel like they're just like, no, like this isn't technical right here, or like, no, maybe try to go to this chord or change to this key, and it's just like, at that point, I feel like you're doing too much, and you're not really like, that's great. You want to throw in all these crazy key changes and all these crazy rhythms and sort of show off your versatility as a musician. But at the same time, at the core, I think it goes down to how it feels. And that
you want that raw feeling.
You want that raw feeling. Yes, you want to feel the emotion in the music. And so when Brian and I write, you know, of course, we'll try to be the cool musician, be like, hey, man, let's do it. Let's throw a random key change right here and throw everybody off. But at the same time, it's like, you know, if it doesn't work and if it doesn't feel right, we won't put it in. And so, again, it just goes back down to a feeling. And we want our listeners to sort of, you know, understand that feeling.
Yeah. And it really is about encapsulating.
If it sounds good, you know, if it feels right, you know, it probably is.
Playing it by ear, and you know,
playing by ear. No, of course.
Before we go into Pacific Palace as a whole, just a little fun fact: what are other hobbies you guys like? What's something you guys like to do outside of music? Yeah,
I mean, for me, I love to drink.
I mean, sir, we're all there with you.
You know, I mean, I love games, and by that I just mean I love all, like, just board games, role playing games, online games.
You're a gamer. Yeah, you're a gamer.
I played a couple of Dungeons and Dragons with this guy right here. Very interesting. I'll tell you that.
Dungeons and Dragons it's a huge inspiration for me in how I kind of perceive like problem solving. Because that's what games is.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it's for.
It's a problem solving game, and I think, you know, I love playing chess. I've been playing chess. I learned chess from the Ukrainians.
This all goes back to the
Ukrainians.
Honestly,
we're digging into deeper things here.
My life started at 9. Okay, before then,
I can respect it.
But yeah, that I learned how to do a lot of things off of them. That kind of gave me a lot of advantages.
Yeah, of course.
Everything provided by the church. I mean, it's a huge boon. I mean, now I know why people did it back in like 1800s.
Yeah, it's a foundation. Like it builds a foundation and discipline, which is always important, especially for a creative mind.
But yeah, definitely any kind of gaming and any kind of socializing through that, I think is really beautiful. Because it's kind of like it's like the social contract, right? Like we're coming here to have fun, to just unwind, to really just be us, and to have fun. And also like other hobbies, I really love, I mean, it's going to sound corny, but I really love to listen to music.
That's not corny.
I think that counts as a hobby, right?
But as the stereotypical musician, right? Like it's almost like a no duh, like but like really kind of like
it's a passion of yours. Like you're passionate about this hobby.
And definitely, no, I can't say that. Now more than ever, I kind of listen to things, and just taking myself out of it. Like what value does this music bring that I may not understand or value, but how does it kind of work within the greater social kind of spectrum, right? Like, why do people love EDM? Why do people love country? And understanding like how that ties into, the social spectrum of musical enjoyment and just like the human connection.
Yeah.
That's been really huge for me the past couple of years. And I think what really guides music for me now.
That's good.
Yeah, I go gym, bro. As well. I mean, I would say in the past, I think, since the pandemic.
Yeah.
Right? Since, we've already, was about 2 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit past 2 years since the start of the pandemic.
Yeah, we're going over
I think during the pandemic, I really started taking sort of health and fitness a little bit more seriously. I used to be a little heavier. And so I was like, I'm not gonna continue down this path. So I'm gonna try to, just for my own mental health as well, just try to discipline myself and be a little more fit. So yeah, I do gym like 4 times a week. I love going to the gym. You know what? I think it's actually very, very therapeutic.
It is.
It's super awesome. I don't go with other people. I just go by myself, and sort of it's a nice time for me to sort of meditate, sort of be like in my own headspace and really think about things from my perspective, without other people's influence. And, just put the AirPods in, listen to some good workout jams and stuff. And so you're good,
And just go in.
And yeah, it's all about discipline. And it's a routine for me. I don't miss a day. I don't care what is planned that day. I already know that day for sure I am going to the gym. I'm not missing it, Another hobby, I guess, listen to music as well, of course. I think all musicians, part of their hobby, one of their hobbies is listen to music. You have to listen to constantly different, different things, new things. And I recently just took up skating. Oh. So yeah, I'm not really a skater. So, I can't say, yeah, man, I skate, but I've just started learning how to do it, dabbing a little. I don't think you're ever too old to learn something.
Of course.
And so it's actually been pretty fun. It's pretty fun to just cruise on the board, down the street and with the wind in your face.
Just be careful with the wheels. Just be careful for the wheels, because as a skater, I'll let you know.
And he also just loves movies. That's
that's right. Yes, I do. I
we're
love,
cinema lover over here.
I love movies. Huge movie guy. It's funny because my parents used to have a nickname for me. Because like anything that had to do with movies, I would know the answer to it. So they used to call me, Internet Movie Database.
Yeah.
IMDb, right? They call me Internet Movie Data Boy. Because I knew everything, like every actor that would come out in a movie, every
scene.
I even knew the dialogue, the director, cinematographer. Just like it was just for me. I love movies, and my father, growing up, also had a huge interest in movies, and he was actually going to school for film. And so I just remember growing up as a kid, there were so many just film books on screenwriting, because he wanted to be a screenwriter, on screenwriting, film, directing. And my father would always, as a teacher, always make me read, right? Reading's important, you want to be very, how would you say it? Eloquent with the language. so he would have me read a lot. And so I was just eating these books up, just going, through them all, and just sort of retaining a lot of the knowledge from those books and those authors. And so now when I watch movies, it's always from a certain sort of perspective, right? It's not just me as an audience member. It's me as like,
every knowledge.
That's a great twist right there. That the plot point here, this character arc is developing here. Oh, this is the part where the guy loses the girl, right? The cliche, like the guy loses the girl, and he's gonna go get the girl in the next scene again, and everything is happily ever after. So
and
it's really
smoke
cool,
weed and really sit with you and play a song, movie, and be like,
right,
explain to me everything.
But it's really cool to see it from a different perspective, not just an audience member, but like as someone who really truly
I can dissect it.
Yeah, dissecting it, and I feel like I do the same with music, and Brian does the same thing also when listening to music. We dissect it as musicians. We're not, passive? Yeah, we're not passive listeners. And to define that, passive listening mean like, you don't don't
understand the layers of it.
Yeah, you don't
just
understand the layers
surface,
of it. You kind of listen to the music as a whole, rather than active listening, of course, which is like you're literally nitpicking the different instruments. Oh, that's so cool that this artist panned the guitar to the right, or this artist brought in this synth at this point in time just to kind of double the guitar. It's stuff like that, and so that's kind of how I view movies the same way. But yeah, I love. Favorite studio right now is 824.
Their projects are crazy.
Their projects are crazy, and they're doing
everything.
They're doing dramas,
horrors. Their horrors are crazy.
Yeah, it's funny.
I still
have yet to see X and
it's
Pearl.
so good.
I haven't seen it.
It's so good. So good.
And I heard really good
I'm not
things
a big
about
horror.
it.
I'm not a big horror movie person. I'm not. And I was like, oh, Kid Cudi's in it.
I've heard that. I heard a lot of
it's
people.
It's just like a But no, it was.
I heard a lot of people that aren't into horror just like what,
really
dude,
good.
Pearl and X, dude. Like
I need to go watch Pearl, but X was oh my god.
Yeah, I gotta get X.
Mia Goth has my heart as a scream queen, man. She really does.
To be completely transparent, I don't think I've ever seen an A24 movie.
Oh man.
Oh no, they're good.
Don't worry.
They're good.
That's after this.
You're gonna come across them.
Yeah.
All right. How did you guys come up with the name Pacific Palace?
Yeah, so this is definitely a question for James. I kind of
hopped on the project a little later.
I definitely piggybacked off of his initial kind of starting up with himself and as Pacific Palace.
So again, Brian and I were good friends in high school. We still remained friends after we graduated. Well, he was a year older than me, so he graduated first. Was it 2014?
Yeah,
2014. I was 2015. And so, I went to college, right? And of course in college, you kind of drift away from your high school buddies a little bit because, you're doing your own thing now. You're going to college, sort of meeting new people, interacting with new social groups. But we still kept in touch. And we didn't really work on music much then. Yeah. And it wasn't until after I had graduated from Cal State LA in 2020 during the pandemic, of course, everyone's like, well, what the heck is there to do? We have all the time in the world right now because we're just cooped up in the house, So I was like, you know what? I think I should take, my music a little bit more seriously. I always had this dream that I would be successful with my music, but I don't think I was ever really acting upon it. And it wasn't really until, I guess, the pandemic that I was like, you know what? I really need to put my time and focus into my music career. I need to stop messing around. I need to be more disciplined with my music. And so for the name Pacific Palace, sort of just came up one day. I was like, I was just in my room, and I was, I didn't want to use my name, James Centeno. I don't know. I just, for me, I feel like that. I don't know. It doesn't do anything for me. I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's my name, and I'm,
you've heard it enough.
But Pacific Palace, I was literally just throwing words around. I had a notepad and I was just writing different random words. And I wanted the name to sound like something fun. I wanted it to sound like something fun, something that people could gravitate towards. And for me, I was like, I was thinking West Coast. I'm like West Coast kind of indie, right? So I was like Pacific. I live on the Pacific side of things. So cool, Pacific. And I was like, what's a fun little... And I just thought, for some weird reason, I just thought of palace, and I was like, Pacific Palace, alliteration. I like the alliteration of the, you know, the P's on there. So Pacific Palace, and I was like, oh, that kind of flows pretty nicely. And, you know, and honestly, I think after a day of kind of tossing that name around and you know, kind of deciding whether or not it fit, it, you know, at the end I was like, oh, this works. I like it. It sounds like a theme park, sort of, you know. And it's like
fun, groovy name.
Like a fun, it's a fun kind of theme park kind of name. And it also, I feel like that's sort of, that kind of mirrors what I want for my music. I want people to sort of come and experience the music with me. And of course, like, I know this is whole, you know, the whole cliche metaphor. Life is like a roller coaster, right? But it really is. When you think about it, it really is. And it's like, it just fits perfectly because my music, you know, it's always evolving, and it always is about different points in my life, the ups and the downs, right? And so again, Pacific Palace really embodies that sort of roller coaster of life, the sort of theme park kind of fun. And it's like, if even if you are sad, even if you are happy, come join me on this journey that we call life, right? And experience it together. And sort of, you know, I hope that through our music now that we can sort of reach listeners and help them find a place of solace or understanding, you know, knowing that they're not the only ones going through whatever it is that they're going through, you know? And so that's sort of why Pacific Palace stuck. I actually really enjoy the name to this day.
Yeah, no, it's a really cool name.
Thank you very much, yeah.
Definitely, I kind of took that idea. So when he was talking to me, and he was actually explaining me the whole like symbolicism behind the name, I kind of was thinking what that would mean thematically, right? So like when you go to a theme park, right, there are different attractions, right? Like think of Disneyland. There's, you know, the Star Wars.
Get Tomorrowland, Frontierland.
Yeah, there's like different themes, right, to any given
theme park,
or attraction, right? And I think, you know, my goal with James when I thought about that was, well, I want us to not be very pigeonholed in that creativity. Like in regards to a theme park, I really want every kind of song we make together to kind of embody a new sound and constantly progressing forward. So when, you know, you look back at like, you know, the discography, you'll find that in the years of 2021 to 2022, 2022,
it's changed.
2023, the sound has changed, and it's kind of like inviting people to a different attraction
at the theme park, right?
Right, to kind of appeal to more people, right? Because it's like what I was trying to tell you before, right? Like, how do these styles fit into the greater, you know, social scope of society, right? Not everyone listens to indie music, and not everyone listens to pop music, and not everyone relates to that even within that same genre in the same way, right? And people always take things from art and they manifest it differently.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like that's kind of what I wanted to highlight within the name, within the confines of that meaning, and kind of expand on it.
And sort of, I guess, to like piggyback off what he said, you know, I like to think of our sound as anamorphous. Like we are always constantly changing and evolving. And, you know, I feel like you reach larger audiences that way because it's like, you know, and you also expose your, you know, listeners to different sort of different sounds, different genres. Of course, we like to say we're indie. We write within the indie genre, but we always have influence from different other genres in our music that we try to, you know, kind of make our own. And so, yeah, we don't like to categorize ourselves as like, oh, we're strictly indie rock, we're strictly indie pop, or we're strictly new dark wave, whatever, you know, whatever's out, right? Or post-punk. But we take a little bit of everything and try to incorporate our music. And it's so funny because if you listen to our song, our debut single, It's Alright, it sounds more like a 70s kind of Fleetwood Mac kind of song.
We're going to play that after when we're done.
And if you listen to Come From the Line now, it sounds more, would you say, like art pop-ish kind of? Almost Tame Impala sort of, with some Hers influence, And
then even going on to like future music, we definitely have a lot of things in the working right now that are just so off base from what we currently have to preview that it's I guess you could say fun. Our music is a little darker
or the music that we've been writing now. Not dark in the sense of like, this is really dark music, but like just the sound in general,
Yeah.
like a little bit more post-punk, a little bit more.
Well, you guys both have a background in
Interpol.
experimental, so
Yeah. So again, it's just like, honestly, it's whatever we feel at the time when we're writing music. And it's like, you know, when Brian and I have talked about this too, it's like, why restrict ourselves? Why limit ourselves? You know, I feel like the best musicians really just go crazy with, you know, music, and they just feel it. Again, it goes back down to, does it feel right? You know, and if it sounds good and it feels right, then it probably is.
what emotion it evokes and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are the best theme parts.
Those are the best.
That's the best for the theme. What are some influence or inspiration? You guys just touched on it a little bit, but let it be from other musicians or bands. What do you mostly admire of these influences or inspirations?
Dude, Interpol, man.
Yeah.
Interpol, dude. That's it, man. That's all
Kevin's
I gotta
crazy.
say.
Kevin's
Interpol,
crazy with
bro.
that.
No, yeah. I mean, I think definitely we have like very similar musical interests, he and I, but we diverge very quickly the moment
It comes to
it comes to like we love the bands we love, and then like after that, like
it's like
a ripple.
It's like a
I go
it's like
in
a
one
opposite
direction,
way.
and he goes in the completely polar opposite direction.
But it's cool because that gives us like more to build off of. You know?
Yeah.
It's like you're not just doing the same.
It allows
thing
for a
over again.
spectrum.
Yeah,
to-
exactly.
from
You're like,
Brian
you know
to
what?
James.
Maybe I won't listen to some of the stuff that Brian, you know, listens to, but I'll be like, you know what? I like that thing that you did, that you borrowed from that genre or that musician, you know, and it works well here, you know. So that's kind of, you know, what we take from it. But I will say, like, some of my, and I think you mentioned earlier in the introduction, some of my personal favorite influences, apart from Brian, would be like Hers, the band Hers. Huge impact on me.
They passed, right? They
unfortunately passed away in 2019. Yeah, that was honestly, I was sad. I was really sad for like an entire week because these guys were around our age now, and their music is just so
really good.
beautiful. It's just and it's two guys. It's one bassist and it's one guitarist and a singer, and that's, you know, and it's just that their music is so inspirational and so good, and it's so lively and fun, and that's what I love about that band is their music is just fun. You can dance around to it. Even some of their more slower paced songs are they're very beautiful, and just well put together. And it's just those two guys. That's it. And going back to the guitar playing, that, you know, my style of guitar playing, I believe the Stephen Fitzpatrick, the you know, of course, the singer guitarist, he doesn't play with a pick either. He plays with his fingers, and he does a lot of arpeggio stuff, which is where you break up the chord, so you hear the individual notes within the chord and not the chord as just like one whole. Which is really, I think for me, I love it. It's awesome. It's very beautiful. So Hers, huge influence. Interpol, I love the lyric writing. From Paul Banks, and it's funny because Brian had mentioned to me that he studied English, or he was an English major. He was an English major in college. I was at NYU, right? At NYU. And so I remember Brian telling me the story. I was like, you know, sometimes people ask him, what are your lyrics mean? He's like it is whatever you want it to mean, you know? It's like, and it's like, but it's so well put together. And I think it has to do a lot with the alliteration and the way the words sound good together. So maybe that phrase doesn't make any sense at all, but the way it flows from one consonant or vowel into the next, and from one word to the next word, it's awesome. It just works.
I mean,
you know,
she can read. She's
right.
bad.
Like you listen to.
I mean, I could. You know, I have no idea what that means.
Right? She can read. Oh, she's bad. Right? From Obstacle 1, like to this day, I have no idea what the heck that means.
Does that go
but
hard?
Damn, it goes hard.
Oh, Interpol,
when that part comes in. Yeah,
Come Here is always by far my
that is my favorite song.
Which
Come Here.
Oh, Come Here.
That's one of
Antics, dude.
And that
phenomenal
one,
album too. Yeah.
Public Pervert.
That's a great album. All those songs
really,
are so good. But Interpol would say, and a lot of the guitar work of Daniel Kessler. Nice. We're starting to explore more of the drum kind of sound that Sam Fogarino was kind of doing with Interpol. But I know he's influenced a lot too by Carlos Dengler, the original bassist of Interpol. He does a lot of cool. Brian does a lot of cool little riffs that kind of mimic that style. Two Door Cinema Club is another band I like. They're very lively band, very indie pop. I really like the guitar work from the guitarist, and then Alex Trimble's his vocals are just really nice and kind of high up there, which kind of
Yeah.
match. When I was
thinking
young,
about-
they used to also tell me that that my kind of voice was kind of fit for that sort of
range,
Tudor
that
cinema
vocal
that
range.
range, right? That style.
Yeah.
And so I would say those are the biggest, or three of the biggest ones. Wild Nothing, Porches, actually is one of my biggest influences. He's a guy from New York, Aaron Maine, solo project that he does. Phenomenal songwriter. I
Yeah.
feel like he does not get enough credit, or for what he does. Not a lot of people listen to him, and I feel like a lot.
I thought it was a band when I first heard of Porches.
Yeah, so
and
he
then-
That's
he
true.
started off
I
as a
thought
solo
so.
project. Yeah, he started off as a solo project, and he would bring, of course, different band members to kind of assist him with the songwriting or assist him with live shows. But it's always really just been him. So he's the mastermind behind it. And what I love about his music, it's also pretty evolving and changing. If you listen to his very first album, it's very indie rock, and he just goes completely opposite way and goes into like sort of 80s retro synth pop with his 2016 album Pool, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. And for me, every song on there's a banger. It's just, and he
No
just
skips.
uses a lot more synthesizers, like the Yamaha DX7, which is like a flagship of the 80s, the Juno, like just awesome, just mixing sort of the modern sound with the old 80s sound. And it's a very awesome, it's a beautiful blend between the two. Porches is a huge influence, and now he's doing like more grunge sort of 90s, early 2000s rock stuff, which is super cool. Again, total 180 from whatever he was doing. There's even one album where he does like kind of house music.
Yeah.
Which is, but again, and that's kind of the goal with our stuff, is like we want to be ever changing. We don't want to stay the same. We want to keep it fresh, keep it new. Even at the expense of people going, I like their old stuff better.
Yeah.
I
That
I
point,
hate
artists
that.
grow.
It's just
Artists
that's
grow
cool. Like,
musically,
to each their
sonically.
own, but it's like, these guys are still musicians, you know?
I'm sorry you don't want the fifth album.
Yeah.
That is from the fourth, third.
I'm sorry you don't want the fifth album to sound exactly like something you wrote 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Man. Like,
But that's always, I think, the trajectory that a lot of artists faced is that,
Yeah.
you're going to grow sonically.
Right.
You're going to grow.
Right.
Because you're going to keep growing your sound, and you just can't stay in a box, because at the end of the day, it's like it becomes repetitive.
It does.
And then you have the,
and then you're just becoming happy with what you're putting out, the music you're writing and stuff like that. Your influences, I know you said.
Yeah. So, I mean, to be very specific, I mean, a huge influence for me growing up was Deftones.
That's a good one.
Deftones was, actually, I have to, big shout out to my brother. He kind of put me on to all the kind of music that would kind of shape me, and kind of would stray me away from church. At a very young age, I remember being 7 years old. He had a Walkman, and I know this is like, still early 2000s, but that's all we could have. And he used to make mixtapes, right?
Burn them through.
Yeah. And he would have so many CDs and mixtapes just lying around. And I remember I had borrowed his Walkman, and I remember like just starting it, and the first song that played was "This Charming Man." By the
That's a
Smiths,
one one.
off of Hatful of Hollow. Specifically this version, right? And I just remember like falling in love. Like I remember I did not stop listening to it constantly. I remember staying up, late.
Yeah.
We had this big mirror next to my bathroom, and I remember just dancing to myself in the mirror, just to the song. And that was huge. And on that same mixtape, he would have Deftones, Rage Against the Machine, Tool. He would have Interpol. He would have like Incubus. He had just so much music, and so varied music, I guess you could say. Bands that I ended up really hating and bands that I ended up just really falling in love with. But also just getting older, you kind of find your own path. And for me, I remember I would play a lot of video games, and there's this famous video game composer. His name is Koji Kondo, right? He wrote all the classics from the Nintendo 64 games. Mario, Legend of
Donkey
Zelda,
Kong.
Just literally the guy. And it's crazy if you were to go on YouTube or something, right, and you were to look up Koji Kondo inspirations, you would see that all the famous songs he wrote were actually just themes from jazz songs that he had listened to in high school or in college and in university, and he just
revamped
them.
it.
Just redid them, right? And it's really cool when you're hearing it, and you're like, whoa, that's Bowser's Castle.
I know this. It's from the video game.
Yeah. But it's actually he stole it, but he
took it and made it his own.
He took it and made it his own and kind of reimagined it, right?
With that 8-bit world and everything, sound going on.
And in a lot of ways, that hugely defines me. I've always loved when the music spoke for itself without the need for lyrics. I think lyrics are huge and very important, especially in how people listen to music today. But my whole goal was, how can I tell someone this is a love song without telling them
it's a love song,
without verbally saying anything regarding love. How can music interpret that using itself? Like a great example that I like to use is like The Cure.
Yeah.
A love song.
Yeah.
If like the song didn't have,
the title,
it, I feel like it would have a harder connection to that theme. But in that same way, the music changes the theme a bit. It's a little more darker. It's a little more sad and melancholic, right? And
The Cure does that. They find a way to make love feel.
The Cure, they're great. Yeah.
But and definitely, lyrics accentuate that. But I love it when the music works so hard. It just works so in harmony with the lyrics and
just
how
everything in sync.
Yeah, and that's huge for how everything for me. And going back to my bass playing, Jaco Pastorius. If you haven't heard of him, you have to. I mean, his solo release. If you were to hear Donna Lee, I mean, wow.
Yeah.
He played piano on bass. It's one of the most beautiful solo bass. There's no other instruments. It's just him, bass, and his whole heart. Amazing. I remember hearing that, and it just totally changed the way I saw music. I mean, you can't not hear it, and you already have like a interpretation of how something should be done, and then have someone shatter it completely in like 3 minutes, and you're just like, whoa, what did I just listen to? I
think that's the beauty about music when you make it your own. It's just like you're able to invoke all these different emotions that come with it.
Yeah,
definitely.
But yeah, I mean, those would be really huge. I mean,
I think I forgot to also mention the Smiths. I mean, you and I are.
Yeah, you guys mentioned them.
Yeah, we're huge Smiths fans. Like,
coming from LA Latinos, we have to.
Of course, listen as a Latino, El Mos, Morrissey, bro. Come on,
El Mos,
Morrissey. That's how I first got into sort of the Smiths. I didn't. You know, it's so funny. I didn't know who the Smiths were.
You knew that one song.
I just knew.
How
soon is now?
How soon is now? The Spanish version. That's
you know what? That's so funny. So hey, we all had the same childhood, man.
Oh, Latinos and Latinas.
But it's funny because How Soon Is Now was the only song I knew by the Smiths, and I remember it because my dad had purchased the Wedding Singer soundtrack. From the Adam Sandler movie, and How Soon Is Now is on the soundtrack.
Yes, it is.
And so as a kid, I used to always play that soundtrack because it had a lot of 80s stuff on there. It was really cool. I really liked the soundtrack. And How Soon Is Now, of course, was on repeat. But I knew who Morrissey was, and I had no idea that Morrissey was the same guy from the Smiths. And so growing up, I listened to, of course, Suede Head, Every Day is Like Sunday, Hairdress on Fire, like all his biggest hits, right?
November Spawn
a Monster, another great one.
Favorite.
Those are
he
the
sounds
songs.
a lot like.
And it's so funny because like those are the songs I grew up with, right?
Yeah.
And my dad had the 2001 greatest Morrissey hits, and I just remember listening to it on repeat. And every time my dad would pick me up from school or he'd take me to school or whatever, that CD was for sure playing. I loved it. And so, Morrissey has a huge impact on my style too, just cause, like his vocal style. I really enjoy his lyrics and his vocal style. Like his singing style, I think is pretty unmatched.
Oh no, 100%.
100%. Like
apart all the bullshit and everything.
Listen, we already know, what kind of person Morrissey is sometimes.
But musically, sonically, that man.
Listen, I'm only going from a musical perspective, right? Musically speaking, this man.
Objectively
speaking, a legend. Yes, a musical legend.
Yes, of course.
Okay?
I'll give him
when
his
you
flowers.
hear that man sing, that's Morrissey.
Yeah.
You already know. That's Morrissey.
He has a sound. That's his sound.
And so
It's
when
just-
I made the connection finally, I think I was like in high school. I think I was in high school or middle school, late middle school, early high school. When I made the connection, I was like, wait, this is Morrissey. This is
this guy.
This guy. What? And I just blew my mind.
It's like finding out Childish Gambino and Donald Glover the same
right?
the same person. And then just from there, I just started listening to the Smiths.
Yeah.
And then all throughout high school, of course, this guy was a huge Smiths fan. Mm-hmm. And this guy right here put me on some more Smith stuff.
Nice.
And so to this, dude, Smiths and Morrissey, special place in my heart. Huge.
So before we go to commercial break, I just want to ask the last couple questions. What can you tell us a little bit more of your new single? Are there any music videos on the way? What are future projects you guys are working on, and how is that creative process going for you guys?
So our new single is called "Comfort in a Lie," and it's actually the first single from the new EP that we're hopefully going to have out by January.
We'll be playing it later today as well.
Oh, for sure, yeah. January, February next year, we should have that EP out. It's going to have about 4 other songs on there. But yeah, Comfort in a Lie, a song about sort of, it's a heartbreak song.
Yeah, if you want to just go, like you were saying, the theme
a little of the background behind it is I wrote this song recently this year. I had just gotten out of a 4-year relationship. So it was pretty tough for me. I didn't want the relationship to end. So I was that guy that was trying to fight for it.
Of course, as one always is.
Going against the tide, going against the waves.
Cuando ya no se puede, ya no se puede,
But, for me, this song was a sense of closure. This song is sort of me closing that chapter of my life. And again, the song is about sort of acceptance of the outcome, no matter what it is. And sort of seeing that, it's okay. It's time to move forward. It is what it is, right? You hear that phrase all the time. It is what it is.
But it works.
It
is what
it is. And you just have to. There comes a time where you have to just let go.
That has saved me so many times.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Boom. That's it.
It is.
Forgot about it. But no, yeah. Just it is what it is. Accept the outcome and learn from it, and that's it. And this song is sort of just me kind of expressing my confusion at the time, my heartbreak, my grief, my sorrow, my catharsis, my sense of my sort of aha moment of like, I realize now that it's okay. So that's what this song is for me. It's a sense of closure.
Yeah, that's good. Therapeutic.
Yeah, and I'm definitely helping him write the lyrics and kind of.
Because you were the one. Yeah, you were the one that put in. You helped songwriter this, right? Yeah.
So this one, definitely, going back to the first track, It's Alright. I had very little involvement with that. I mean, he wrote it.
Yeah, I think it was more Brian was just playing bass for me. That was pretty much it, yeah.
And, fast forward
to this year.
He's writing this song, and I'm kind of like, again, somewhat piggybacking off of it, but he still hasn't really fully written it. And that's why you could kind of see the difference in between the song styles. But I'd say this one's more like 30-70. He really did write the song. I added bass. I had help with the vocals. I helped with the general structure since, but like lyrically, he felt very confused initially. It was a lot of
and
mixed
sometimes
emotions, a bag of emotions that,
and sometimes, like I said, it's hard to express yourself, especially when you're going through something, like a heartbreak or sometimes you don't even have the words to express yourself,
If you're doing too much.
Yeah, maybe you're doing too much, or maybe you're saying it too explicitly, or stuff like that. And so but Brian helped kind of redirect.
And I remember I told him, like, he like got a little book, and I told him just the right words, like how he was feeling, like what he's trying to say. Because I felt like the song lyrically was going in so many directions, as a song would when it's about something so personal. And I was like, well, right now the song's just speaking to you. Like, you're really just, in a way, ranting, right? But how would this connect to other people? Like, how is this gonna, how will someone hear this and think that's also me? And I think
it did pull at the heartstrings. I'm not gonna lie that I've listened to it. I'm like, it has. There is moments that you explain the situation that I'm like, whoa, this guy went through similar emotions that I did when you're talking about a failed relationship that you worked so hard on, and then wondering, I like that you put the perspective of like how loving someone like that is and how that makes you feel. So it definitely did invoke emotion.
I will say, in that relationship, I sometimes feel like I just wasn't being heard, or I feel like I wasn't as appreciated for the things I did. And I just felt like, this person was never happy with me as her partner. And so again, that song is just sort of releasing all that tension and releasing, like, taking a step back and be like, no, I'm not the villain, like, as much as I was painted out to be, and of course, like, in every relationship, there are flaws. Everybody has flaws. Everyone makes their mistakes. But I just felt like I was sort of not like self-hating myself or holding this grudge against myself. Like, damn, I could have done more. I should have done this. I messed up. Oh, why did I do that? And it's just sort of like this self-loathing that really got to me. And through this song, and with, of course, the help of Brian with songwriting and lyrics and the whole music aspect of it, it really just kind of helped heal me and kind of shape me to the person I am today. So yeah, that's kind of the background of the song.
Yeah, huge.
So as far as future projects, you say you're releasing an EP.
Yeah, so EP, we should expect. Everyone should expect that probably January, February. Yeah. We do have a couple of other songs on there. Yeah. Again, going back to their earlier, they're the darker kind of sounding songs, so a little bit more post-punk influenced.
Yeah, and then also just like in general with the music video and everything moving forward, we really want to kind of just work with, kind of like the community that kind of raised us. So, more like Latino videographers, more Latino photographers.
Definitely.
More people within that style to kind of help, kind of like encapsulate a part of ourselves that
supporting the gente,
Yeah. So actually the videographers that we worked with for the music video, Comfort in a Lie, which is actually should be out this Friday or this weekend, Saturday. They're Latino and they go by Casanova Films. They did a phenomenal job on the video. I've seen some clips. I'm waiting for it. the finished project, and wow, I was like, okay, all right, this is happening. I am really pleased with the video. I think Brian saw it too. You were really happy with it as well. So yeah, you guys should expect it this weekend. I'm excited. I'm
looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So we're going to go on a music break right now. We're going to play It's All Right by Pacific Palace. A little later, we're going to play Comfort in a Lie. Okay. So, listeners can hear the difference. But this is It's All Right by Pacific Palace. That was It's All Right by Pacific Palace. When did you release this?
Was it June? June of 2021, yeah. 2021, yep.
Have you said that you've definitely evolved from that phase?
Yeah, I think that project was the project that really told me, you know what, James, I think you can do this. I had always just been putting out music or my own demos on SoundCloud, and it really never went anywhere from there. And so once I brought Brian onto that It's All Right project as the bassist, and we sort of worked with my good friend Timothy Jones. I met him at Cal LA. He has his own studio in Orange County, Anaheim area. Phenomenal mixer and master engineer. It was sort of that kind of moment that I realized, you know what? Once we put it out into the world, I think it was up on all streaming platforms, and people were giving us good feedback. I think it was at that moment I realized, like, you know what, Brian, we can actually do this, man. Yeah, it's no longer just a SoundCloud demo.
It's not a pipe dream.
It's an actual
real
track. Yeah, it's a real track on like Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, everywhere. And so, and it wasn't until this year though that, again, working on Comfort in a Lie, and going back to what Brian said earlier, his involvement on It's All Right was very minimal, and with Comfort in a Lie, he was much more involved in that on that project. And so I think over the last couple months, we kind of been talking and discussing and really just kind of saying, you know what? It's no longer a solo James project. It's no longer just Pacific Palace, the solo project of James Centeno. It's Pacific Palace, the duo project of Brian Gutierrez and James Centeno. And you know what? It's good to have another person on board, just because I feel like there's sort of kind of checks and balances.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
And, at first I kind of wanted to be the Kevin Parker, right, of Tame Impala, where he does everything himself because, he knows how to do everything. But, I can't.
It's okay to get some help.
It's okay to have some help, And I think it took me getting over sort of that sense of pride, as a musician, sort of like, I can do this by myself. I can make some, that I was like, you know what? It's okay to have someone else on this project. And let's see where it goes from there. And so far, Brian and I have been, dishing out demos and stuff like that, and really working on songs. And we like the direction we're going in.
Yeah.
And we think it's sounding pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and also just in general, like with future music, it's about we're incorporating kind of like not letting ourselves be defined by this perception of not just like of how we are perceived by people, but of ourselves. And it's really, again, just not saying no, and really just being okay.
Open to the sound that comes.
Yeah, like and we have some, I don't want to spoil anything, but we might
have some disagreements.
We have a lot of disagreements, various disagreements.
But the Beatles had their disagreements. The Smiths had their disagreements.
Yes.
Every band or duo has. I mean, I'm pretty sure even the band Hers had their disagreements over certain things. But
it's definitely one of those things, right, where it's like, maybe we sing this song in Spanish. Right. Maybe we try to like capture a different part of ourselves within the music.
Really going back to like our roots, our heritage.
Right.
Yeah. So recently we've been kind of incorporating more Spanish into our music, and it's so funny because I'm not a native Spanish speaker. But hey, Selena could do it.
I can do it.
I can. I think I can do pretty okay.
Yeah, and it's just again, it's really about kind of capturing what the feeling, what the song is trying to tell us, and not what we're trying to project onto the song.
Right.
And
letting the music do the talking for you guys.
Yeah, and that's huge. And I can only be thankful that I am working with someone who is very open with that, despite the disagreements. Because you end up working with a lot of people. I've worked with many people on many different projects, old and young, and you find that there's a lot of people who say they're okay with things, but they really aren't.
Yeah.
And they say they're open to trying new things, and then you find that it's very there's no fruit there. Right?
Yeah.
You plant the seed, but they stomp. They
there's
throw
no
the
growing.
salt.
There's no growing.
They're just like,
there's no harvest.
yeah, we can try that, and already accepting in their heart that it's just not gonna work. They just very and I'm really happy that James is just not that way.
At least anymore.
At least
Do you remember? I was very stubborn, very hard headed with my music early on.
and
That happens.
yeah, and I get it's really hard because
It's your sound. Like,
that's your baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
like
that's my music. Like it's personal to me. It's just
and this person is saying, hey, you need to change that up. Hey, you need to do something else. You need to try it.
It's an ego thing. It definitely pride.
I feel like every musician to a degree has an ego.
Yeah.
To every musician to a degree, and it's her just kind of looking past that.
No, I understand. No, but I mean, I think as a musician to grow, you have to hurt the ego, and you have to stab at the pride a little just to evolve. All right, guys, we're reaching the segment of the show where we just want to get to know you guys a little more. So I'm gonna play you guys. We're gonna play OG versus rework. I'm gonna play you guys 3 songs with 3 reworks. I can't even talk anymore. And you guys tell me which one is like.
Okay.
All right.
Gotcha.
Perfect.
And then after that, we're gonna play rated. I'm gonna give you guys 3 categories. You tell me why it's overrated, why it's underrated. Give a brief description, and I just really want to get to know you guys.
Gotcha.
All right. So the first song is "Just Like Heaven" by The Cure.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right. As you guys know, that was The Cure, "Just Like Heaven." The next one is by Brian Chuck New. It's just a mix of the song. Just let me know how you guys like it.
Okay, like a new mix of the.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, guys. From the 2, which one?
I mean,
It's okay to say OG. There's been
OG,
more of it.
man. You can't go wrong with the OG.
OG.
It's just nostalgic, dude.
no. In a lot of ways, the fast pace of the original. I mean,
Yeah.
It really gives it that sort of
Yeah.
it gives it that drive.
It gives it that drive.
I'll agree with you guys on that one.
Yeah.
Just Like Heaven by The Cure. Can't shake it.
Exactly.
All right, the next one I have for you guys is "Why Won't You Make Up Your Mind" by Tame Impala. So that was "Why Won't You Make Up Your Mind" by Tame Impala, and this is a twist that A$AP Rocky actually did to it. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the song.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
called
I think I know this
Sundress.
one, yeah. Okay.
So that was Sundress
man, that's-
by
that's
A$AP
hard.
Rocky. Of course, you can hear the instrumental.
I like A$AP Rocky, dude.
Yeah.
You
Wow,
know what?
the
You know what? I
rework.
think depends on the mood.
But you have to give me one answer for this one, James.
No,
Dang.
I'm gonna be honest. I mean, like,
A$AP Rocky. No, I'm just kidding.
I do prefer the A$AP Rocky version. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I'm agree with you on that one,
It's
Brian.
just, I don't know. I like the more like, I'm not gonna say like generic, but it's just that more house beat, that more thump.
Yeah.
It just makes it feel. Also, I just like the more like a soul type melodies.
Yeah, I can agree on that.
It
Yeah,
just-
all right, you're taking me over to that side. Yeah.
It just
All
gives
right,
it
you're
a
changing
more
my
like
mind.
also
I can agree.
ethereal sound.
I can agree with that.
It's
All
good.
right.
Sounds like a trance song.
All right. James, so you're going with A$AP Rocky for
I'm
this
gonna go
one?
with A$AP Rocky for this one. Yeah.
All right, dang. No disrespect to Tame Impala.
Yeah, no
He's
disrespect at
amazing. And so for the last one, we got Harvey by Hers.
Yes. Beautiful.
All right, so that one was Harvey by Hers. May they rest in peace. And this is actually a dedication to them by Sweet and Skogan. He named a song named Lovely, and it's actually a dedication to Hers,
Hers.
and he sampled
That's
Harvey
awesome.
in it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is Lovely by Sweet and Skogan.
Oh, that's crazy. So he took the track and he slowed it down.
And he slowed it
Oh, that's
down.
awesome.
And made
That's
his,
cool, yeah.
So that's OG rework. You just like to just try and get each original songs and then see what people sampled them with. I went with 3 artists that I know you're really familiar with.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That was
Just
actually
go-
really cool. I like that he did that. Yeah.
James can go first.
all right, which one?
You know, I gotta say Hers.
Oh,
I
Hers,
gotta
of
say the OG Hers. I mean, that new song was really awesome though, and
Mm-hmm.
I do like that take on it. I'm actually gonna go check it out after
I'll
today.
send you the link.
Please send me the link. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
actually really cool. I really like that he slowed down the track for that. It's really cool.
Yeah, Geebs. I'm sorry, but you broke up the band. I have to say that new version slaps.
It was a slowing it down. It was like a
Yeah.
little more sentimental value to it.
Yeah.
I think the thing that takes away is the fact that it was dedicated. Like he made this group
Yeah.
made the song specifically for it, like after Hers passed and everything. So it was their ode to an artist.
Artist,
that,
yeah.
you know. All right, so that was
One of the best.
that was OG versus Rework. Our next game that we're gonna play is called Rated, and I'm gonna give you guys 3 things, and you guys tell me if you guys believe it's underrated or overrated.
Okay.
All right, so the first one is guitars.
Oh, dude. Underrated.
Underrated, dude.
No, actually, I think now and today. I mean, when Post Malone came out with that song where there's a guitar solo, and everyone was like, "A guitar solo in 2021." That's, I feel like the instrument now in pop culture has kind of lost its appeal.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely underrated. I mean, you talk to people now, and you're like that guy who brings the guitar
Yeah.
to the party.
Oh,
And you're like,
Yeah, that's
seeing
been
it.
me on a couple occasions.
But
you play Wonderwall?
but definitely it has been memed into oblivion. But I still think the instrument
low.
now in pop music,
depends on how you play it,
it's still very underutilized.
Yeah, I would say underrated. Still
Underrated?
underused, yeah.
All right, how about the 90s?
Oh. I mean, underrated.
Underrated, okay.
I mean, dude, the Animaniacs.
I would say
The Animaniacs were huge.
That's true.
I love them. I love a lot of the old cartoons from the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really just like. Also, they had like no filter.
Of course, yeah. There was no political climate then.
It was just like, wow, they really just said that. And also just like, I guess like stylistically, I really like enjoy the like, I don't care attitude that they were kind of like promoting.
just doing it, just
Yeah.
doing to say.
Yeah. I mean, also, Fight Club, the book.
90s,
movie's
like?
great.
Yeah. Really a take on society.
And yeah,
In
in the
the
90s.
As a whole, yeah.
So
You can say
I
overrated.
feel like
isn't it?
Brian's gonna hate. It's kind of overrated.
I feel like you're coming from like this fashion sense now that we're trying to
Yeah,
like we
I
try
just-
and like revamp.
Yeah, you
the-
know what it is? I think I find it overrated because everyone's trying to mimic
what
the
it was.
90s now. What it was,
and
you
it was
know?
like no, you have
But
to
it's
be
super,
there.
you know, it's fine. We did that with the 80s not too long
Yeah.
ago. That's everyone was, doing that. I feel like we're still doing that with the 80s.
I mean, Y2K is coming back.
That's
so
true.
Yeah.
Y2K is coming back. That's a huge trend right now.
I love it.
It's awesome though because I feel like a lot of young people now, younger generations are kind of
Embracing it,
gravitating
yeah.
towards older music, especially
Which is
like
good.
older decades, which is great
good.
because and I think I read an article where they did like a survey and they asked a lot of the millennials and stuff and the new generation Gen Z?
Yeah.
Is that what
Gen
it's called?
Z's the ones we're at
Gen
now.
Z, right? Why they liked listening to older music, and a lot of them said, well, it's because it reminds them of like a simpler time, without
all this
all
other
this
anxiety.
overwhelming anxiety that comes from just social media, technology, school, like all these things. So
in a
it's
sense,
really
it's
cool.
underrated,
Yeah.
but it can be overrated.
Yeah, it's underrated.
I mean, I think you just made an argument for why it's underrated. So
Yeah.
I think it stands to reason that I was right.
All right, the last one, guys. Love. Is it underrated or is it overrated?
It's overrated, bro.
No,
Love is overrated, bro.
love is definitely overrated. I think there are better words to describe that feeling now.
Platonic friendships.
Situationships.
Yeah,
Situationships.
Situationships, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
James,
yeah.
how about you? I know. Is love underrated or overrated?
I want to say overrated,
All
but
right.
that is how I feel now.
Ah,
I don't know how I will feel later.
No, but
Okay.
yeah, definitely.
But definitely, yes, coming from,
you know,
what I was in and stuff.
romance underrated.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yes, you know what?
Romance.
I will agree with that. Romance is different from love. Romance is underrated.
No one, you know
No
what
one
I
is
mean?
romantic anymore. Everyone's like, hey,
Depends where you come. I mean,
What's your
where you come
Instagram?
from? Like,
Yeah.
what's your Instagram? Instead of being like, hey, what's your number?
the red flag is
Can I-
what's your snap?
Yeah, that's that's like
I
red
mean-
flag number one, dude.
I just meant like being kind and like chivalrous and being
I don't know.
considerate.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
underrated.
to
No
me,
one does that anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
No one.
Where's romance?
We live in such a fast world,
Very
Yeah.
rapid,
very
yeah.
fast, that no one
Everyone
takes
wants
the
to-
time to stop, right? And
Smell
just
the
sort
flowers.
of
Yeah.
Smell the flowers.
smell the flower. Exactly, smell the flowers. And so, the same thing goes with like love and like dating. I just feel like now people are just like, they get comfortable. They settle
Yeah.
in something that isn't right for them, out of fear that they're not going to find that in the future. And it's just like, well, no, I mean, there's like, you have to take your chances. You have to take
Yeah.
your risks. And so, romance, underrated, love, overrated.
Yeah.
All right, with that being said, that was rated an OG rework. Thank you guys. The next song coming up, it's actually Comfort in a Lie by Pacific Palace. I'll play it for you guys if you guys want to introduce it.
Yeah, so this is the first song off of the
EP.
brand new EP that should be released in January, February. So yeah, we're pretty excited. Music video coming out this Friday. Make sure to check it out, guys. We're on Apple Music and Spotify and everything else.
So that was Comfort in a Lie.
Yes, that was
by
Comfort
Pacific
in a Lie.
Palace.
Yeah, so the music video is out now.
Mhm.
You can view it on YouTube. Make sure to check us out on Apple Music and Spotify. We're also on every other streaming platform. So Tidal, Pandora, you name it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Add
we're
us to your
super excited.
playlists. Add us to your friends' playlist. Don't
Yeah.
even tell them.
Yeah, add
They're
us.
gonna love it.
I've been playing with a couple of my
Hey,
friends
add
already.
us,
We're
add
like,
us to your
yo,
work playlists.
Just
have it
It's my gym music.
banging at work. you
Just
know?
say Spotify enhance their playlist
There you go.
and be like, oh, you know Pacific Palace too? Yeah, I know.
Wow, you're cool. All right, guys. This has been another episode of For Tasty Tuesday. I am Geebs, and it has been a pleasure talking to you both.
Thank you so much for having us.
No, thank you
yeah.
guys for being here, being so vulnerable with us, and talking to us about this amazing new single. You guys make sure to check out their new single, Comfort in a Lie. It's on all streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, or you can check some of his work out on SoundCloud. You can follow him on Instagram.
Yes, it's under Pacific.Palace, and that's going to be, the Palace is going to be with 3 E's.
Mm-hmm.
You can also follow my bassist, Pot Roast Jones. His
Forever
unique
and always.
Instagram name, Pot
Forever
Roast
and
Jones.
always. Pot Roast Jones.
It's always Pot Roast
the
Jones.
food Jones, like Mrs. Jones.
I love that. The creativity just...
Just never
Splurges out.
stops.
All right, thank you guys so much. Make sure
Thank you
to
so much.
follow and listen to Pacific Palaces. There's more to come, definitely. Keep an eye out for that music video. Stream it on YouTube, right?
Yeah, YouTube.
And thank you guys for being here so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, everyone have a good day. Remember, guys, be love. Stay love and be love, and it's all good to the world.
Yeah, yeah.
It is what it is.